Hi, this is Harry, and here I am with November's Comics Haul. It's been a little while, but I don't think that I've forgotten how to do it, so let's flip this camera down to the desktop and see what we got this month. Okay, so here we are with this month's big old pile of books. I don't have the invoice with me today, so I can't say exactly how much this was, but I can say that it was definitely enough. We're going to go ahead and begin with I Don't Want to Be a Mom by Irene Olmo. So it has a very cartoony look overall to it, but it is a very serious book overall. It is about a woman's decision to not have children. And it goes into the social pressures involved with people saying that you should, um, your own individual desires, wants, needs, and that sort of thing. And overall, it presents a pretty compelling and interesting story. I started out reading it, I haven't finished yet, but it's presented in a very accessible and humorous at times style. So that is I Don't Want to Be a Mom, Irene Olmo. And here we have Nishioka Kyodai's take on Kafka. So I'm a I'm a big fan of Franz Kafka. So I suppose that's a Franz Kafka. No, that doesn't work. Anyways, I'm a fan of Franz Kafka, and so I kind of picked this up, just thinking, hey, I would really like to see what goes on with this. So this is when what happens when you take, I believe it's a manga artist, and introduce them into doing Franz Kafka's work, and they cover a few of his stories. So you get In the Penal Colony. He has this very interesting art style. It's very not representative, not very realistic, very dreamlike and surreal. Country Doctor. I'm pretty sure Metamorphosis is in here as well. The Venture and Jackals and Arabs. The Bucket Knight. Yeah, all of it has a very surreal quality to it, which is appropriate for the work that they're covering. And yep, Metamorphosis is in here as well. And you can see it has this very symbolic art style. So, not exactly what you would necessarily think of, I think, when you think of what you're going to see as a, what's the exact word I'm looking for? Adaptation. So, yeah, and this does definitely go in the reverse manner. Yeah, so afterwards, so they didn't actually, so now here's the thing. I would have expected that they would have done, if they're going to have it in the original Japanese format, to have the whole book reversed, but they have the cover in the back. This is the last page, it says here. So then, flip to the front. But I would have thought that they would have flipped the covers around. Oh well. Anyways, that is Nishioka Kyodai's Kafka. So now into my floppies. We got Alice Never After from Boom Studios, which takes the Alice in Wonderland story and ups the ante quite a bit by giving some real world context of things that are going on with Alice, I almost said Alec. Um, it is very grim and very dark, but it is not grim dark. So, but I've enjoyed what I've read so far. This is the fourth issue. I believe that there's one more to come. These covers I have really loved a lot. Really dig that crazy, crazy look on the Cheshire Cat, and just these pink whites, very pale pinks in there. I think are really cool. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. Now, this is one I had seen an ad for, and I immediately thought this is a book that I have to have. It is anthropomorphic animals, and one of them just happens to be a serial killer. So interested into where this is all going to go. It seems very interesting. It seems very interesting. It's got these nice watercolor patterns. Palette is what I mean to say. My goodness, my mouth doesn't work after the big long break I've had. And but the watercolor palette really will set off the grimness that's going on inside. So I will report back on this one. I think that it's going to be probably one of the more me books that I'm reading right now. Bite-sized Tales of Terror from John Clark from Scout Comics. This was a kind of a heavy price tag, $7.99. It is a thicker book, but and it is a one-shot. The art inside reminds me of some of the like horror comics from the 90s. When you're thinking like Stephen Niles and Ben Templesmith, that sort of thing. And these are it's just a horror anthology with a couple of stories in it. And I like these kind of things, so I gobbled that one right up. And I haven't read it yet, but it definitely has a neat look about it. I think that it'll be a fun read. A little late for Halloween, but that's what happens when you get your comics through the mail, I suppose. So Buffy the Last Vampire Slayer. The series has been going okay. I've not minded it at all. They time jumped ahead a little bit to make Thessaly a little bit older. But other than that, the story's kind of just moved on in a very natural way. And, just gonna see where it goes. But it really hasn't made me want to keep on. Like, if once this series is done, I think there's a couple more issues left. I don't know that I'm going to want to go back to this world. It's been okay, but there's certain things in the art that I'm not digging. And then the storytelling is good. They managed to really capture the voice of the characters overall. But there have been a couple issues here and there where the editing could have been a little bit tighter, I think. But overall, I've enjoyed it. Thrilling Adventures comics that I've really enjoyed. And this one is, I think it's sort of like a, what do you call it? I was thinking it was like a Stepford Wives kind of thing, but it actually looks like it's going to be a bit more directly horrifying. So let's see what it says. There are two sides to every story. When Ginger Snap finds herself in town Riverdale, a town she's fanatically read about growing up, she's amazed by how explore toxic positivity gone horror in this one shot that's equal parts Pleasantville and the Stepford Wives. So yeah, well, like I said, when I was flipping through it, it seemed like there was going to be a lot more much more direct horror stuff, but we'll see. Interested. Creepshow, Volume 2, Issue 2. So I enjoyed the first volume, enjoyed the first issue of the second volume so far. And, again, like, this is going to be what that sort of thing. A little bit of dark humor, but overall, a nice read, good read. Something definitely for a covers, and meh. So once again, just not in time for Halloween. We're gonna follow the gargoyles out it could have been resolved in a couple of issues. So that's my opinion there. Gargoyles, The Dark Ages. Intertwined with humanity and getting towards the end of the first story arc. So I'm wondering what they're going to. All happens at a really good pace. You know, it doesn't treat you like you aren't paying attention, which a lot of the art in this, of course, does not disappoint. It is as good as it has ever been for the Lonesome Hunters and Harrow County. It does feel like the Harrow County world. Like this same story could be happening somewhere else. But overall, though, I've enjoyed where this has gone, and it's been dark, been a good adventure, and it's had a few bright spots here and there that help contrast the darkness that's going on in the story. But I was at one point there was some big hope coming, and I'm just could think, well, this is set up for the fall. So that's that one. Midnight Show #2, featuring one of our favorite writers, Cullen Bunn. So in this story, we've had classic horror monsters coming into the real world and wreaking havoc. So now we're moving into the second issue where things are getting very real. And you got werewolf out there, vampire out there, creature from the Black Lagoon, and a Frankenstein as well, and a mummy. So all kinds of things going on. But of course, we're going to end up with a Van Helsing. So this has been fun so far. It's a bit more lighthearted than I thought it was going to be. I originally only got the first issue, and then when I enjoyed the first issue so much, I went out to the local comic store and I picked up #2. So I wanted to make sure that I got that. Ms. Marvel, The New Mutant, #3. So I've been slowly making my way through the new Ms. Marvel series, and I don't know. It's just I wasn't a fan of them killing her off and now bringing her back. The way that they brought her back is just kind of weird, and the overall feeling in this is kind of odd, and it feels like it's filler. It doesn't feel like it's going anywhere, like it's going to actually make a difference in her overall story. I want to say that there's maybe one more or two more issues of this left, and so far I'm not really in love. I do like the fact that they're exploring the mutant bigotry that goes on in the world, but when we haven't seen that inside of the main Ms. Marvel comics to a great extent, like we saw it in when she was one of the champions a little bit, but when she was in university or visiting university and did not see like protests or anti-mutant sentiment or things like that, and now it's become a big prominent story point. I feel like they could have done something a bit different to build to this point if they want to make her a mutant. But like I said, I'm really not sold on it. The fact that it's part of a bigger event that's going on and I'm not reading the whole event, I feel like I'm missing out. And that's why I stopped reading X-Men comics, and probably why I'm not going to be going forward with this beyond its initial run. But we'll see what happens. But The Nasty, number 4. It's been a while since The Nasty came out, and I was afraid that they canceled it. But here we are with the number 4. Hopefully we get to the end of the story before it stops coming out. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it so far, and Vault has been doing a great job as typical. I really dig this cover with each of the different victims inside of the meat packages. I think it's really cool. Rare Flavors. So Ram V, the writer behind this, did what was it? The Many Deaths of Lila Starr, which was really good, and then this falls in that same category of really good. It gives us a different view than we typically have in a lot of comics, because it's actually coming from a East Indian perspective, and not in a way that exoticizes it. And that, I think, is a wonderful and powerful thing. So here we've got what it is. It's a demon is set loose on the world, and he is going on a culinary journey inspired by Anthony Bourdain. So it's been interesting so far, and I think that each one is going to have like a moral tale based on the food that the demon is going to be eating. Plus we have the filmmaker's journey into all of this and some of his background and that sort of thing. This has been really good so far. 7 Years in Darkness from CEX. I missed one of the issues, but so far it's been good. Imagine something like a wizard school, only very dark and brooding, and the wizards are out to get each other, and you kind of have an idea of where it goes. It's been a pretty good ride so far. I don't know that I would go into year 2. It depends on how year 1 ends. So we'll find out more. And lastly, we got a comic that I did not order, but still arrived with my order, Unnatural Order, which was an unnatural order. Number 1. So this is, it kind of takes place in a historical world, semi-historical world. Let's read actually what it says, because again, I didn't even really know about it. After the fall of the Britons and the Roman invasion of Hibernia, the captive known only as the Druid is released, sending a darkness across the world, an age of horrors, of fire and entrails. As the innocent burn in the wicker fields, those who would resist learn of the existence of a man who even the Druid fears, for it is this prisoner, a soldier from a different time, who alone knows the Druid's secret. This is not how the world is supposed to be. So it sounds really interesting. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the one that I had read an article about that said that Vault was actually giving this away to comic stores to sell, and then hoping that it acts kind of as a lost leader, so that people will actually be interested in more. So we'll see if that works. And that's what we have for the month. Let's flip back up to the top, and we'll talk a little bit more. All right, so here we are, and that's all I got for comics for this month. In addition, I started reading Black Sad digitally. I got that from the library. That has been really good. I heartily suggest picking up Black Sad, especially if you can just get it at the library. It's a hard-boiled noir detective type story, and with anthropomorphic animals, and it's been really engaging. It has a lot of twists and turns. The mysteries are compelling and interesting, and just the world that it presents is enough like our own, but with enough differences that it keeps your interest very heartily. So, that said, if you were just here to see comics go by and know what it is that I'm reading, then don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and leave your comments below if there's anything that you want to see more of. Otherwise, you can hang out here, and I'll talk at you for a little bit. So it's been a busy few months. I've had a lot of changes going on in life, and I'm just starting to kind of get into some sort of groove now that I have a new position at work and trying to get used to the time that I'm spending at work versus at home. So it's definitely a lot different than it was before, and it's good and bad. So, it's good in that there's more income coming. It's good in that I am more challenged by what's going on and more engaged with what's happening. It's bad in that I don't have as much time as I used to have, and it makes it tough to do stuff like this. But I'm trying to figure out how I can make the time work, and eventually I will. But until then, things will be sporadic, and we'll do what we can when we can. So, other than that, today is Thanksgiving Day, so I hope you all have a wonderful, happy holiday. I have a turkey going in the oven. It should be ready in a couple of hours, and I can already smell it. And I'm just really waiting and excited for it. The holidays are fast approaching. I've started doing my shopping and all of that. And, as I get older, I find that giving becomes a bigger and bigger part of the holiday. There's less that I want and more that I want to give. So it's an interesting change, I think. And, it's not that I want nothing, but it's that I'm really looking forward to giving things. So, and, one of the, I suppose, challenges of that is that as you do start getting older and you start amassing things, you start questioning what it is I'm going to do with all these things, and how much of this stuff do I need, and how much is too much. Like I just got another short box for comics, which is going to bring me up to probably about 20 short boxes or so of comics. And, it's like, what do I do with this long term? What do I do with any of what I have long term? And the thing is, it's like, I enjoy these possessions and I enjoy the joy they bring. That's a really terrible sentence. I take great pleasure in the joy they bring, but I also find myself thinking, what am I going to do when I'm in my 50s, when I'm in my 60s, when I'm in my 70s, when I'm in my 80s? I can only carry this stuff so long, and I'm not very good about selling any of these kind of things. I'm not great when it comes to capitalism. But we'll see what happens. All I know is it's been a good year, and it's been a tough year, and I'm looking forward to ending it on a happy note. And part of that is being able to give. Yet, and now here's the thing, because as I'm in this place of wanting to give, it's also with the knowledge that people don't need stuff incredibly a lot. But it's the easiest way to show appreciation and love and care. It's sort of the way that we do it at this time of year in our culture. But at the same time, I have so many other ways that I show that on the regular. I help out when I can. The people that I care for, I'm there when I can for the people that I care for. I like to spend time with the people that I like to spend time with. And, in a way that in and of itself is the gift, and it is the expression of care and love that I'm trying to get across now through things. And it's like almost a consolidation. I don't even know if that's the right word. Uh, of all of the feeling that I have all gets condensed into a gift to say, hey, I care. And for a person who doesn't do capitalism well, I do gifts well. And I kind of overdo. And, it's what it is, I suppose. But this year I'm thinking a lot more about it, and I'm thinking a lot about it. So I figured I'd just kind of share some of the thoughts and things that are rolling around in my mind. So that said, I hope that you have a nice holiday season, that you, if you are celebrating Thanksgiving, that you have an enjoyable day. If you're not, that you just have a good day, just a random good Thursday at the end of November. And as we move into the holiday season, if you're a person who celebrates, that you enjoy the holiday season. And if you do not celebrate, that you just have a wonderful and peaceful time. So, that said, I will talk to y'all later, and we'll see you next month.